for collectors and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans? It is the one and only Optibotimus coming to with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the incredible support of my patrons, Optibotimus Plus channel members, and those of you that just hit that thumbs up button, we're going to be taking a look at the new NECA Toys, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rat King, and Vernon. For the most part, it seems we're hitting the end of what could really be considered some of the main reoccurring characters in the Ninja Turtles cartoon. Rat King being a semi-regular villain, and Vernon being one of April O'Neil's, well, kind of sidekicks, but also co-workers. The other two figures that I really think that we should get as main reoccurring characters would be Burn and Irma. That'd be great if we got that in a 2-pack. And there are still some really good figures that are coming out. Mondo Gecko, all of the Punk Frogs, which I'm excited about. Despite the fact that I think they only appeared in like 2 episodes. Those were really fun guys as well. And a couple other ones sprinkled in. But like I said, I feel like we're getting towards the end. But for the Rat King and Vernon here, for the package, much like all of the Ninja Turtle figures, you got that nice open window that fully showcases them, as well as all of their accessories. You got some really nice artistic images of them in their cartoon appearances. Of course, you got the TMNT logo right down there. The top section here has that as well. Side here has an up-close image of the Rat King, whereas this side has an up-close image of Vernon. Which, I mean, he kind of has a smirk, and that's what's going on there. I almost kind of wish that he had a face like that, because he was always scared, and it was fun, and that was one of his defining characteristics, that he was a scaredy cat for the most part. So while I do like that, I do kind of wish it looked like that. Come around to the back of the box, and you got more images of them kind of just hanging out there. You got the other figures that have already been released, and of course you got that very similar read-up that we've gotten on all the Ninja Turtle figures previously. But for the packaging on this guy, or these guys I should say, not really much changes with the different releases, but hey, you know me, I always got to start off with the packaging. But for the box, that is about it. So without further ado, let's get them out here and see how cool they actually are. Alright guys, so here we have the Rat King and Vernon opened up and out of their packaging. And again, this is another absolutely terrific set by NECA. Based off of the original series episode, I think it's called Were-Rats of Channel 6 News, or Were-Rats of Channel 6. It follows the story of the Rat King, who is searching for food for himself and his loyal rat subjects. Unfortunately, though, all he does is find a canister of ooze. But he doesn't know that it's really ooze. He just thinks it's green stuff. At first he thinks it's food. He's like, no, it's just that green stuff. And he really isn't all that sure what it actually can do. It's not until Bebop and Rocksteady show up, and the Rat King overhears Shredder talking to him, telling him to kind of find this, that he realizes that it is a canister of mutagen, and he could use this to mutate humans to be rat subjects. So that explains this little canister. I mean, it's very much like how it kind of looked in the show. It was a gray canister. Doesn't open or anything. Oh my gosh. Did not know that. I swear I had no idea that it did that. It actually does open, and you can see the inside here is the unstable mutagen. The reason why the mutation doesn't stay permanent with these guys, and I'll get into it a little bit, is because the mutagen is unstable. And instead of staying green, it actually changes colors, which they talk about. And I think Raphael says it's like, wait a minute, it's not supposed to look like Tutti Frutti. That is amazing. I swear to you guys, I literally just did that right now and discovered that. I had no idea that it did that. That is fantastic. Kudos to you, NECA. That's amazing. So you do get that really very cool thing. You also do get his soda pop can grenades. Very common whenever you saw him. He had a little harness that you can put on him, and you can sling this in here. Real nice detail on here as well. You got a blue one and 2 red ones. But again, coming to take a closer look, you can see you got the soda pop thing right there with the little tab. Bottom section here just has the bottom, but really nice detail on there. All 3 of these are the exact same. You just get, like I said, 2 red ones and a blue one, and they can just slide on this, just like so. Sometimes he had this on, sometimes he didn't. A lot of times he didn't have this, and he just pulled these out and he would throw them at people. So you do get that. I kind of skipped this, but you do get several other hands. You get a pair of clutching hands. Then you get a pair of fisted gripping hands. Not really too wide of grips. I mean, that's a little bit smaller. That's a little bit wider, or vice versa. Probably can use that with holding his flute, which you could just do something like that. I wonder if you can use this. This kind of looks like it would fit one of these soda. Oh, there it goes. Let's see here. See if I can squeeze this in there. Yeah, there you go. You can wedge that in just like so. He can't really hold it like this. I mean, I guess he kind of can. It just, oh no, that actually fits a whole lot better. So I'm not entirely sure what you would have this little bit more wide open hand, but you do get that. And then you get a pointing figure. What's really nice is this isn't just a reused hand of sorts. You can see that right here, it's got this extra sculpted detail right there with some nice extra paint. That looks really very cool. I like how they got that on there. Real nice little attention to detail, and just, I absolutely love that. And then you do get several, well, let's talk about this. This is his flute. This is what is used to control the various rats. Real nice detail on here as well. Good paint work. You got that shading thing where you got the darker elements and then the brighter bits. And this is what actually would make these guys convert. Now, like I talked about, the mutagen was unstable. So he exposed both Vern and Irma to that mutagen, and that made them become rats. But it wasn't a permanent mutation. They had to hear the flute music, and that would trigger the transformation. So when Splinter destroyed this, it pretty much made it so that they could never be changed again, but I guess it was still always in them. So there's that. But you can also go along with these little rat guys here. You get 3 of them. They're all different. Now, we did get one of these with the Splinter set, I think it was. They're all different than this, but you can see that they're a lot darker of a color, and he's got a pink tail, whereas these guys have these little off gray ones. The thing that's kind of interesting about this, so you can take these guys, and the tail can wrap around different parts, and the way that they're positioned, you can kind of scooch them along in different areas. Like this works perfectly for sitting on like his forearm. The feet kind of go around that area, the tail kind of goes around. Then you can take this and, I don't know, maybe put that around something like that. I mean, you can kind of position these in a sort of different way, which I do really appreciate, and make it look like he's they're crawling all over him. The problem though with this one is, though, his tail doesn't really do anything. So literally you have to kind of, and the only part I really see that he fits all that well would be here. Now, granted, he can't, if you get it balanced proper, get him to stand, bring this up around, you can get it to balance there, but it doesn't sit there permanently. I don't know how they could have done that. Maybe put a magnet, or I don't know, some kind of a peg or something like that. If it's just sitting there, it works, but as soon as you move it, I'm like, they're gonna fall off. These ones kind of cling on because of the tail, so that's cool. I dig that. That just looks cool. I mean, so these 2 are perfect. I just feel like that third one, while it looks good, because again, you have a more wide open shoulder sort of thing, so it like fits there perfectly, and it does a pretty good job of balancing there, but moving around, it's not going to stay on there. So if you're just going to have them stand there, it'll be perfectly fine, but for the most part, it is a little bit precarious with that. So getting these out of the way so that we can come and take a closer look at the Rat King. Absolutely terrific figure. Let's get him out of the way because it's going to want to focus on him. This guy looks great. Detail on here is fantastic. The head is a little bit looser on mine. It seems to have tightened up a little bit more over time, but it was really bobbly before. But absolutely gorgeous. You got the straps going around the head. I do really like how they got the very pronounced jaw. That was a very characteristic physical trait of him, which I think looks really good. The colors in general are pretty solid on here, although I want to say that they were a little bit brighter of a yellow, but it still looks pretty good. You got the random sort of straps and the kind of stitch work on here. As far as I can tell, everything on this is all newly sculpted, which does look outstanding. These straps are all over. You got this one right here, which they actually do show that you can take this and tuck this down there. In their artwork, they showed you being able to do that, which makes sense. It doesn't kind of pull it away too terribly far, and that would kind of make sense that you would have, or maybe you go like that. Guess it really doesn't matter which way you want to do it. But you just kind of have to wedge it underneath there a little. There we go. Yeah, maybe that's a little bit better. Something like that. But I love the fact that they put something like that on there where you can kind of sort of store that. I do appreciate that. Again, great detail with the hands and the extra molded bits right here around the wrists. Legs look really good. You got that kind of cod piece coming up with the spandex. Again, nice stitch work on here. That's all sculpted in there, so you can feel that as you rub your hand across all of the stitching. I can't really imagine them reusing this for any other character, really. It just works perfectly for him. You can see you got these straps around the legs and everything, and then the little extra rubbery bits there. Also down here, you got that kind of up here as well. So really nice detail there. The feet, you can see he's kind of wearing, again, those little spandex sort of things with the straps around there. And then you look in the bottom side, great detail. You can even kind of see hints of his big toe, which is terrific. Amazing detail on this guy, really is. Articulation-wise, pretty standard. The head is on a ball joint, but there's nothing at the neck, so it is just on this one joint, but you can get it looking up and down, but he constantly had this little hunch sort of thing going, so leaving it like that is perfectly fine. It doesn't really ruin too much, and you can get him looking left and right pretty decently. The shoulders move in and out. They also rotate fairly decently. You got a swivel at the upper part of the bicep. You got two bends at the elbow. The wrists rotate. They also hinge forward and back. He does have a waist bulge or diaphragm ball joint, so you can rotate it kind of around, and then it moves forward and back fairly decently, side to side and everything. I don't really think he's got a waist down there. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm not going to force anything. The hips move forward and back and in and out. The little crotch piece here is a little bit softer, so you can kind of see it moves forward as you move it, and then it kind of goes back into position. Does rotate a little bit at the hips up there themselves. Bends at 2 points there at the knee. He does have, I thought he had a boot cut. Maybe he doesn't have a boot cut. I don't know why they couldn't have put a boot cut there, because honestly, he's got a boot right there, so I don't know why you couldn't have done it. The ankles do move forward and back, and then, of course, the hacky sack pose. So all the articulation you could basically want. Like I said, the only thing he's really lacking in the articulation would be that lower neck joint, which it's not a bad thing. It doesn't bother me really all that much. But he is really terrific. And you can see good size, kind of balance him. Good size with the rest of the humans. So obviously he's going to fit fairly well with the rest of your figures. Now, coming to take a closer look at Vernon, sometimes referred to as Vern. It was done maybe a couple times, but Vernon, but sometimes people would get confused because his boss, the big chunky guy, his name was Burn. So there's Burn, Vern, Irma, all of them. In addition to the two fisted hands that he has, I kind of wish he came with a little bit more of a relaxed hand as opposed to a fisted one. I mean, it works well for holding his camera, but I kind of wish he came with more relaxed ones. He does come with some open ones, but I feel like that works a little bit better when you want to have him holding the, like, that's going to be on one shoulder, and then that is going to be like kind of moving that around, I guess. So I don't know, it is what it is. So you do get some kind of spread open hands, and then you do get a pointing hand like action, or how he would say action. Oh no, Irma. I mean, kind of sounded like a Thurston Howell III a little bit, and maybe even Trax a bit, but it was always fun. You do get the Channel 6 camera here, pretty much the same as April's. Great detail, great paint applications. You can position this around so you can hold that however you want. Kind of wish he came with a microphone. That would have went really well with these kind of hands, but don't really need it, I guess. Now, like I talked about, he was mutated, and that's what they actually went with here. Now, this is where I'm thinking that we'll probably get an Irma at some point in time, just because Irma and Vernon were the characters that were mutated, and it would make sense to give us Irma with something like this as well. Hopefully, like I talked about, in a 2-pack with burn, but, you know, we'll see. So to mutate this guy, first you need to just pop these off, plug these in. They're just ball pegs. You do have to be careful. This piece here is a separate piece, and it does tend to slide around, so just kind of get that in there as best as you can. That's not as best as I can. Something like that. All right, let's get this one. Come on, there we go. And then plug this in there. Kind of, oh, that's really tight. There we go. You scooch this up. This one doesn't feel like it's going in as far as it could. Okay, so he's like, oh no, I'm mutating. This is terrible. What am I going to do? You just pull his head off. You can see that he does have a separate neck joint. And then you can take this guy and plug that in right there. And that's a little bit more tricky to do because the bottom ball joint is also articulated. So as you're pushing this in, this kind of wiggles around. That's really stiff. All right. Come on. No, well, that's not going in there. I'm going to have to heat that up. But you get the idea. This guy is terrific. And this is the Were-Rat version of Vernon. And absolutely terrific. I mean, they nailed it. While this head sculpt, it's a great portrait of him. I do wish he was a little bit more scared looking. This looks absolutely fantastic. It's going to go a little bit lower because I don't have it pushed on this ball joint all the way. You might have to, like I said, heat that up to get that on there. It's a little bit tricky to do, but you get the general idea. But great detail on there. And I also love how they basically sculpted the hair the exact same way. I mean, they recreated the look brilliantly. That's what I would say. That the look from the cartoon was recreated just about perfectly. And the fun thing is his mouth can open. Get that down there. So you can see you got that nice rat kind of mouth with the little front teeth, I should say. Great detail with the paint and everything of the nature. Even got the sideburns coming down, much like he had there. And it's in the same sort of shape as well. You can see the sideburns come down and then have this little kind of point there, much like that. I think they did a great job recreating that. Absolutely fantastic. And then you're just going to take that off. And there we go. That popped in a whole lot easier. And then you just swap these back out. So I could see people maybe wanting to get two of this for two different displays. There we go. Get that on. And now, come on. There we go. And where'd the other, there we go. And then you just put that. Get right on y'all. There we go. So, I mean, absolutely terrific. Now, see, now that's a little bit wobbly. I don't know. It wasn't all that wobbly before. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, it feels a little bobbly-ish. But great looking figure as well. Again, wonderful recreation to the character. My only complaint would be the expression. I mean, he's smiling. It looks fine. I just wish he had that more scared look. Again, coloring is a little bit off, not too much. This is a very, very bright pink shirt that he's wearing. Now, you can see you got a couple different tones here. You got a little more toned down one and then a little bit darker here because you got that cell shading thing going on, much like what you have here with the pants. Darker on the back. You got it lighter here in the front. But I want to say that it was a little bit more pale in the cartoon, but still really nice nonetheless. You got his tie, the suspenders, got the little, I don't even know what that is, a little belt thing. He's wearing his sneakers, which look really good. Amazing detail on all of these. I really like how they even got the double joint right here to look like a piece of the shirt. I kind of wish that this side had that, but you got that little black piece of paint right there. That does make it look like kind of a wrinkle in his shirt, which does look good. I just, like I said, this one here doesn't have it. Really very, very fun. First articulation, as you can see, the lower section is on a ball joint, so you can move that around. You also have an upper ball joint. You do have an Adam's apple here in the middle, so you do have to be careful when you're kind of rotating it around that you have that lined up properly with like his head and such. Shoulders are on those pin hinge, so you can rotate those. They hinge in and out. The body is a softer material, so as you come down, you can see that he does have that kind of rotation and everything. The thing that kind of stinks, though, is you go back a little bit too far and you can see skin tone there, which you wouldn't because the suspenders will be attached to the belt. So that's a little bit weird, but, you know, it's a nitpick. The elbows have double joints. They also do rotate at both of those elbow joints, so you get a lot of range of motion with that. The upper part of the forearm does rotate. You do have the hinge forward and back. You do have his watch. One thing about the watch is that in some scenes it was on his left arm, some scenes it was on his right. You can remove it, just pop the hand off, and it's a separate piece, so you can swap it over to the other side if you want. You can see the waist. Like I said, on a bit of a ball joint. The hips move forward and back, much like all the other figures with the softer rubbery crotch area, so you can move it forward, and then you can see that it kind of stretches it. So that is a little bit ugly, but, you know, it is what it is. Rotates. You got two bends at the knee. The ankles move forward and back, and they have the hacky sack pose. So, again, all the articulation that you would basically need and want is also in Vernon, and again, just absolutely fun. These are both, in my opinion, fairly regular characters that definitely deserved the action figure treatment, and NECA did not disappoint. But honestly, though, at this point in time, I really feel like I should just make a pre-recorded message that says, once again, NECA has done it. Because, once again, NECA has done it. This is a terrific set. As I talked about, in my opinion, both Vernon and the Rat King are fairly regular main characters. And I'm absolutely thrilled that they did these guys. And not only did they do them, they did them right. Which is something that they've been doing with pretty much all of their TMNT figures. Both of these figures are outstanding. The sculpts are amazing. The paint detail is fantastic. Both come with a really cool amount of accessories. Everything just works perfectly in this set, much like many of their other releases. Again, there is the age-old issue that to get the cartoon versions of their TMNT figures, they are exclusive to Target stores, so it makes it a lot more difficult to get them because scalpers and all that kind of BS. And they seem to kind of pull away from doing the whole pre-order thing that they had going on their website, which I don't know why they stopped doing it, but that's something that I do hope that they bring back. But if you are a TMNT fan, this is absolutely a set that I would recommend picking up. As I said, they really are kind of essential characters to round out your collection from the show. And because we got Vernon looking like this, I do have high hopes that we're going to get an Irma. And if we're going to get an Irma, we might as well get a Burn as well. You could stop it there and I would be happy. But obviously they're not going to. They'll probably do repaints. There's a couple other new characters coming out. Like I said, Muckman, Mondo Gecko, all four of the Punk Frogs. So we'll see. I do think that we're coming towards the end of this, but it has been a terrific run, and I can't wait to see what they have coming out next. So all that being said, if this set is one that you would like to add to your collection, if you can find them, they are in Target stores now. So if you are looking for them, good luck and happy hunting. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Once again, if you like this video, I know it's not a Transformer review, but watching things like this really do help things like Transformer reviews happen. So I would really appreciate it that if you made it this far, to please hit that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out with the whole crazy YouTube algorithm, and I would very much appreciate it. Also, I gotta send a huge shout out to all of my patrons and Optibotimus Plus channel members, who through their direct support help to make reviews like this possible. And if you'd like information on how you can help support my channel by becoming a patron like these guys, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Optibotimus. Or if you want to keep all of your perks and rewards like custom channel chat and comment emojis, loyalty badges, exclusive member live streams, Zoom calls, as well as the occasional giveaways like these guys do, consider becoming a member of Optibotimus Plus. And for that, all you have to do is click on that little join button right down there. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.